You need to give your audience or your consumer the ability to tell you what they think your brand should be.
This is the Brave Ideas Podcast, brought to you by Aqua, part of the Wunderman Network.
Welcome to episode 35 of the Brave Ideas Podcast, the show that is all about bringing to life fresh perspectives from the worlds of digital and marketing. I'm Dan Herman. I'm a digital strategist. I would like to make Brave Ideas into a 360 virtual reality experience. And today, I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Esther. I'm head of conversation analytics here at Aqua, and I mostly dream about how I'm going to save the world during the Armageddon.
Today, we're really excited to have as our guest Mpho Maseko, Chief Marketing Officer at Wunderman South Africa. Mpho is a competitive sportsman who is at times not a good sport, and she also enjoys schlepping her children around. And today, she's going to talk to us about how to go mainstream. Mpho, what's new?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Esther. Thanks, guys, for having me. I come from a background of broadcast marketing where I'm used to speaking or marketing and putting the brand out there for a mass market. And now I find myself in a world of CRM and digital where everything is quite individualized, personalized, and exciting, I must say. And I think there's a magic between the two mediums that we as marketers need to exploit or we need to take advantage of for the benefit of consumers. The power of broadcasting, we know, is the ability to have a strong reach and have frequent messaging go out there at the right time to the right market. And that has been questioned over the years to say there's something they call in broadcast marketing and advertising wastage. Saying, are you putting your brand message out to the right people? You may know who's watching at the particular time and you have your marketing message out to that mass market, but is it to the right people? And I think that's where digital fits in and the role of digital marketing to ensure and to measure engagement. So the alchemy between broadcasting and digital or CRM marketing, I think that's what's new and that's what's going to make brands shine in the future.
So, Mpho, I think it's an absolutely fascinating topic, and I'm particularly very interested in this dichotomy that exists between the perspective on how important mass reach is and also how important, being personalized and targeted, and they feel really different, right? Coming from a digital agency, we've always been around, your reach doesn't matter. What matters is your engagement, or what matters is your conversions, et cetera, et cetera. And we're always thinking about things in a kind of funnel to achieve results. But what sometimes we lose is the importance of just simply getting your message out there.
Yes.
So I'd be quite interested to understand, really, how have brands historically been successful at getting their message out there? What have they done?
I think in the past, brands have tried, depending on the kinds of budgets that marketers and brand managers have, you want to put your message out on the platform that has got the biggest number of audiences. So a typical marketer here would be thinking, definitely I need a TV ad first, or in fact radio, because with radio in Southern Africa infiltrates more audiences than TV. So you say, I definitely need a radio campaign, I need TV campaign and outdoor, and maybe I'll put aside some budget for digital. And given where consumers are now and how savvy they are, and consumers have such great expectations for their brands now. They want brands to ring true. What they see in store, what they see at the shelves, and what they hear, whether it's on radio or television, needs to be consistent. And consumers are having conversations with marketers now or brand owners through digital on if they're not happy about your product, they will tell you now. And I think in the past, we as marketers didn't have access to that kind of information where you get an opinion about the ad that you actually have put out there immediately.
Yeah.
And the question is, what are you going to do about it now? But so in the past, we've really gone and done research. We sat in think tanks and spoke to a few people that we thought were our best consumers or our best brand advocates and put work out there. Now, I think with digital, we have the privilege of actually seeing what our audience thinks immediately.
So I'd be interested to know, because very interesting to me about the idea of mass market and coming up with that messaging, but needing to continue the story in the same way as a brand onto digital and still be telling the same story about your brand, in a lot of cases to really the same markets as well. What can you take from broadcasting to continue that story onto digital and make sure that the story, like you were saying now, rings true at every touch point?
What digital allows for is if a brand puts out a message or a story, the message can actually evolve and become more personalized through digital. Because a marketer's audience is actually not homogenous. And the story, the brand story actually evolves based on your frame of reference or where in the world you're based. Your story becomes more personalized, and this is where the engagement, I think the beauty of engagement and measuring the levels of engagement through social then is important.
Well, I mean, I've got a great example for you, which would be, I think, Old Spice. The Old Spice is a TV advert that was rolled out in YouTube.
Yes.
But basically what happened there was that they took that same message and then they invited people to comment on social media and they incorporated that into videos that became very personalized broadcast messaging. So it's really fascinating for me, and I think that what's really particular and something I always like to challenge is because I don't believe that the traditional mass media channels are necessarily the channels where you get reach today. I mean, they're captive audiences on YouTube, which, it's over 8.2 million users in South Africa, on Facebook, which is in the 12 millions of users in South Africa, or 11.4. And what's interesting about both those mediums is if you talk to anyone who tries to sell advertising on those platforms, is that all those mediums are considered to be reach mediums. I mean, the way that you can target video content and audio content on Facebook, it's the same way you can target it on television. You choose the audience, you choose the time, you choose the channel or the interest based on kind of what they're interested in, their preferences, and you target a broadcast message to those people. So a lot of what's interesting for me is really how you use digital platforms to achieve reach for your brand, and also challenging the perspective that digital can't do that job. I think is really fascinating. I'm not sure what your thoughts on that are.
I think with that, digital can definitely do the job that mass or broadcast media does. The challenge I think that we face now is really access to connectivity in South Africa in particular.
Absolutely.
As soon as the airwaves open up for digital connectivity for mass audiences, we definitely are going to see a more stiff competition, or marketers being able to access as many audiences on digital platforms like YouTube. Really, at this point, it's a cost issue. It's an expense. It's being able to choose. Would you rather pay for your 1 month subscription for pay TV, or are you going to pay to have your house connected so you can access information? And in our society at this stage, we're at the point where the cost of connectivity or having access to Wi-Fi or having access to a connected house is so high. That's why, as marketers, we still have to play the two platforms. Almost they compete against each other. If you look at your budget as a marketer, you're saying, do I reach my audiences on this mass platform or do I use this one? And I also think it's also a function of the partners that we marketers choose to work with. Often we've seen the trend has been this specialized digital agencies that you work with. For a marketing team, in my previous experience, we had your above the line advertising service provider, your agencies, and then you have your below the line agencies, which is a different set of agencies, and then you have your digital agencies which get a smaller portion of the budget. Given how the marketing spend is spread through 3 entities and apportioned, maybe the digital aspect is given a smaller portion. Also could be a function of why radio and TV are still seen as the superior entities.
Sure. I wanted to touch on, in terms of even how we've structured, for instance, the idea of where we should put our finances into from a great hitting the mass market point of view. Actually, it is changing changing very quickly in South Africa, even to the extent where there was a meme that recently went around on Twitter, because MTN has made Twitter free to its customers now. So huge amounts of South Africans are actually accessing digital platforms for free these days. Vodacom has made Facebook free in certain aspects to its consumers. So this connectivity and this digital and this idea that it's still so far off for the rest of the South African community to get there is not really that far off. It's happening quite now. So there was a meme going around where a girlfriend WhatsApps her boyfriend to say, I can see you read my WhatsApp messages and you haven't responded, but you're tweeting to your friends. And the guy responds with, it's a picture. Yes, exactly. It's a picture of his hand, and across his ring finger, the words, do you pay for my data are printed. I mean, so really in terms of whether we can even just connect to our peers via whatever connectivity, or via the free platforms that are given to us in digital now, has taken us really to that mass space, mass market space.
So I think, what's really interesting for me about Mpho is that what Mpho just said around the fact that people, they can't afford Wi-Fi, so they'd rather get pay TV, rings so true about the assumptions we make as marketers about the people that we are talking to, and the assumptions that traditional marketers make versus the assumptions that digital marketers make. Because we assume, because we're so digital, that everyone is busy on YouTube, Facebook, on Instagram. They're always on their mobile devices, while the traditional marketer is sitting there thinking to themselves, well, this guy is watching Generations, he's watching potentially Mzansi Magic at this time, because this is the content that's relevant to them and this is the behavior. And the truth is that as much as we can get data and personalized information from digital, there's a human element that we miss. And what I like about this whole idea is that somewhere between the two worlds is the answer to how brands can tell their story in a consistent way, but in a way that is sensitive to who they are talking to. So I guess, Mpho, my question to you is really around how can we enable these two sides to see the light together? What do we need to do?
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I think like Esther mentioned, we are on our way there. For brand owners like MTN who know the advantage of actually giving their customers free access to, is it Facebook?
Twitter,
To Twitter.
Yeah.
They know because, engagement on those platforms also means having access to the data, being able to analyze that data and being able to measure the patterns of your consumers. In that way, so this is where analytics comes in, and it's a new world for me, from a marketing perspective. And I think digital agencies like Wunderman have been doing it so well over the years. But this now becomes research, access to analytics becomes every marketer's responsibility on a day-to-day, being able to measure the levels of engagement. So even when brands do that, when you incentivize your consumer to actually have access to connectivity, it means that you want to analyze, you want to know more. And knowing more means you can be more true. Means you can tell a more authentic story, or means you can ensure your brand evolves to catch up with the needs of your consumer.
And knowing more on a digital platform also does inform your other platforms as well. Absolutely. It doesn't mean because we gain this information off of a digital platform, it won't speak to the rest of our mass marketing through broadcast, etc.
Yes, and when we speak to the fact that audiences are curators now, there's a reason why Coke personalized cans. You need to give your audience or your consumer the ability to tell you what they think your brand should be. So having that moment of actually feeling like you own the brand or you are such a key part of the brand is the magic I think that digital is bringing into this marketing world.
Awesome, Mpho. So I've got a question for you around, just to try to bring it back closer to home. So I've been at Aqua now in the Wunderman group of companies for quite a few years. And something that we haven't done well is talk about ourselves and market ourselves in the industry and as agencies. So What are the implications of what you're talking about today and how we as Wunderman South Africa are now going to approach how we position ourselves in the market?
I mean, Wunderman is a global leader in CRM and data. And for that entity to be in South Africa and for our group of 3 agencies to form this one entity in South Africa, it actually makes my job a little easier because there's the clout that comes with the past experience. The Aqua, Base 2 and Cerebria put together are doing amazing work in South Africa when it comes to digital marketing. It's an easier story to tell. My role really becomes about telling that story because I don't think we have been able to, we've been doing the job. We've been getting the work done, delivering great work, digital work for clients, but other clients who need to be, who were like me, who come from mainly a mass media space, need to be more digital savvy. And my role then becomes easy, and it's about really letting clients know that we're here to deliver great CRM work for them, and we can actually get some great insights and great analytics that are going to transform their brands and take them to the next level. And being a united force of 3 different agencies that focus on social, CRM, analytics, and also doing some above the line work, it makes us be part of the South African conversation, and that's my job. That's what I'm here to do.
Cool. And I know you spoke a lot about how we talk to clients and how we involve clients in this conversation, but isn't there a bigger job around making agencies relevant to marketing professionals, to potential new hires? I mean, what is our perspective around who we market to and why it's important to market? Is it important to market? Do we need to market ourselves just to clients, or do we need to market ourselves more broadly? And what's your perspective on that?
Definitely, we need to market ourselves to the best talent, to the people that can actually get the job done. We know that in this space, in the digital space, it's a very competitive space and there's very few skills. So I think it's important for marketers and digital specialists to definitely want to work here and want to be a part of this team. And the ones that are already working here to feel like they're working for the best agency within South Africa. When you have the best talent working here, we're delivering the best work, clients keep us. In fact, not only do clients want to keep us, they expand the scope of work that we do. Also, speaking to influencers in the advertising and marketing industry, I mean, Brave Ideas is a great IP for Wunderman SA, and for the media within marketing and advertising media to actually know about such IP is important. And that puts us on both a local and an international stage to actually be able to share our expertise.
I think it's actually quite exciting to know that you're coming in to do public relations work around digital companies with a broadcasting background, because actually the other day driving down Jan Smuts here, for the first time in my life, I saw an advert, a billboard, so obviously above the line, of someone advertising to do Facebook page management at 1,495 Rand a month.
That's good.
That's a good price. That's a really good price.
Undercutting this competition.
I thought, wow, how is he paying for that billboard?
The customers are coming in.
But it's so interesting that because we're stuck in this digital world, we often just feel that marketing happens in this digital world, and we're not cognizant of the fact that we can take this digital message to the other platforms. Mpho, it's been so great speaking to you and getting to know you a bit more. If there's anything that you feel that you'd like to leave with the network with regards to this, what would it be just for today? Because I know we're going to speak again for sure.
I think there's definitely magic in reaching audiences. There's an alchemy in reaching audiences through broadcast, using the broadcast mediums, and also gaining or bringing out the insights of CRM and digital marketing. And I look forward to a world where it's one, it's really just marketing. This, above the line and below the line and digital really needs to merge to become brand marketing value for audiences. So that's the magic that's currently happening. I believe it's happening here at Wunderman SA.
Thanks, Mpho. So if people want to find out more about this topic or more about you, what do they need to do?
If people want to find out more about me, you can send me an email on mpho@aquaonline.com. I am on Twitter, but I say very little. I'm a voyeur. My handle is at I am Mohlele. Mohlele is Mohlele. I am Mohlele.
Thanks, Mpho. And thank you for listening to the Brave Ideas podcast. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or YouTube. And while you're there, give us a rating and a review.
For more awesome content and to subscribe to our e-newsletter, please visit the Brave Ideas blog, which you can find at aquaonline.com/Brave Ideas podcast. Also, if you want to get involved in the conversation, please follow @Aqua Brave Ideas on Twitter or Brave Ideas Podcast on Instagram.
If you want to keep in touch with me, Dan, you can follow me at elhermo on Twitter and elhermo23 on Snapchat and Instagram. And you can follow Esther.
You can email me at estherm@aquaonline.com.
Special thank you to Mpho Maseko, our guest. Thanks to Matt Klevansky for engineering and production, and thanks to Matt and Isaac Klevansky for the music. Thanks to Johan Boerter for the art direction, and to our distribution team, Magesh Ramsamy, Kirsten Wiggle, Sabelo Kanyide, Simon Vichert, and Helen Semenis.
That brings us to the end of the show. We'll leave you with one final thought. There are no original ideas, only original people.